All right, we are back with another game. Australia versus France. Phoenix on the Australia side and Dragon on the France side, the French side. Let's have a bit of a look at these decks. So, on the Dragon side, this looks like a bit of a blast from the past. Are all of the French decks named after like famous rulers or something? I'm going to check that out after the stream. So, yeah, a bit of a blast from the past. We've got a dragon deck on Mountain's Anvil Castle. It's running Crab Splash with Reprieves and Pathfinder's Blade. So we're talking like, you know, 12 months, 15-month throwback here. It's playing the quote unquote monk package, Void Fists, Hurricane Punches, Seal of the Dragons, all sorts of good stuff. He's playing Old Mitsu. Yep, Old Mitsu. Master Alchemist is kind of an interesting thing, but that was definitely a card that was played a while back. But otherwise, I'm sure we're all pretty familiar with this deck. On the Phoenix side, looks like we are. Looks like we're playing a standard sort of bird deck. Looks like it's a toolboxy kind of deck. When I say I'm talking like I've seen this for the first time, but actually, um, it's kind of it's the keeper version of the very popular bird deck. So he's preferencing having just a few more influence cards like Strength in Numbers, which is quite clutch sometimes, opting for hand to hand, Frostbitten Crossing, and Into Forbidden City as his attachment control. Council wise on the Phoenix side, we've got two Censures, and that's it. On the Dragon side, we've got no Censures. Cool. Actually, you know what? Let me put that onto the other screen. All right. So, first turn looks like Phoenix is going first. Did he just click? He did. He hit Season of War, aiming to get rid of that Mitsu. Um, that was kind of interesting. Hang on. What's going on? So, Dynasty phase, he flips Season of War, like the Phoenix player flips Season of War, but he opts to buy a guy first, allowing the Neaton Master to come into play when it could have just as easily have been this Mitsu from the start. This one right here, I think. Either way, that's quite interesting. And we're basically off, right? So both players bidding 5, filling up to 9 cards. Looks like an extra card for the Phoenix player because of the Forgotten Library. Phoenix player coming in on Earth against Neaton Master, trying to pick off all the good cards, weapons, what do you call them? Weapons, reprieves, that kind of good stuff, void fists. Um, there were 2 seasons of war, 2 seasons of war on the first turn from the Phoenix player. That's pretty crazy. Both players are down to, well, this guy's down to 27. Phoenix is down to 20 cards in their Dynasty deck. He's coming out swinging, going for a military Earth, 7 versus 3 on the Neaton Master. He hit Upholding Authority. You know, when the bird deck first came out, people really didn't care about Upholding Authority and hitting it, so I guess this Phoenix player is playing basically the same way. Looking to get rid of this Mitsu, so that'll be 2 Mitsus out. So even though we've seen 2 Mitsus go, because of the intense season of war play, there's all 3 seasons of war in the Phoenix player's discard pile. But basically, it could mean that there is actually a chance that we're going to see another Mitsu in this game, even though usually if you lose too early, the odds are not that great. But in this case, it could be the case. So up by 4, it's breaking. Phoenix player having a bit of a think. Is he thinking about... I don't think he can cancel. I don't think there's any cancels in the Phoenix deck. Oh, there's Defend Your Honors. There's 2 Defend Your Honors. So he's thinking about whether he wants to Defend Your Honor. He does. It's going to go 6-3. So I think that Phoenix is going to bid to win here. Yeah, he does. So 2 honor goes over to the Dragon player, and that bonsai is not happening. Upholding's breaking. Both players pass? No. Dragon uses favorable ground to move the Needle Master home, which could indicate that maybe he doesn't have a straight in hand, or maybe he's just worried that the straighten is going. Maybe he has like a low number of straightens, so it might actually like this Earth might pick off a straighten. And when I say straighten, I mean like a weapon, so that Neaton Master can use its ability. So Phoenix against 2 against 3 against the waves. Oh, that's good and bad, I suppose. Cloak of Night, Court Game, Supernatural Storm, and Trick of the Light. Fushicho is going to go away now, I think, and bring out my money's on Heiko. Nope, Azunami. Didn't see that one. Not a bad play, actually. What have we got? Cloak of Night and a Court Games. So actually, Azunami could be quite strong, attacking with Court Games. Bowing and straightening somebody would be really sweet. But I think that Neat Master is probably going to attack here. So by the time Azunami ends up swinging in for an attack, the Neat Master is going to be bowed anyway. Or if it straightens, it'll be defending the conflict. Neat Master coming in on Void, which seems smart, but because Phoenix didn't actually pay for this character, it's not really that bad. If you get rid of either of these characters, it doesn't really matter. I do like the Inspired Visionary, especially against decks that run Reprieve. Oh, actually, speaking of Reprieve, that Ring of Earth hit a Reprieve, which is kind of nice. People don't realize that the Inspired Visionary, if straightens or if straight, can actually take off that reprieve before it comes into effect to remove when the characters leave play during the fate phase. So that's kind of nice. So coming in on political here for the Needon Master. So I think Azunami is going to get hit by Court Games right here to beef herself up. We saw 3 against the waves in the Phoenix player's hand, so Azunami is going to be straight and potentially honored for a counterattack. Of course, if he comes in on military, if the Dragon comes in on military, then the Phoenix player gets to play the Forebearer's Echoes again, using the box, and they've got plenty of against the waves to... wait, what? Oh, the against the waves got discarded from Upholding Authority. Makes perfect sense. So actually, is he deciding not to... Looks like Phoenix is deciding whether or not to defend the conflicts. So he's probably trying to decide whether or not he wants to counterattack with a political attack. Tank Commander plays Cloak of Night. I'm not entirely sure why. What is the Dragon player going to play on him? Can't play a Void Fist. Maybe he's worried about the Monk package coming in kind of early. So Seal the Dragon and a Void Fist on this guy, sending Azunami home bound. Otherwise, there actually isn't anything. Oh well. Clearly, I think his fears were kind of warranted, right? So um, there's nothing in the Dragon deck which really targets the opposing character. It does make him huge with the plus. It does make Azunami huge with the +3 glory from Cloak of Night. So there is that as well, leaving Phoenix with only one fate left in their pool. Needle Master's going to need to do quite a bit of work to get over this 10 strength Azunami. It's worth mentioning that Azunami is probably going to be a pretty good defender for the whole turn here because the Inspired Visionary can attack water. And if this Neat Master is straight, you can actually use Azunami's ability even though she's not actually in the conflict. So 2 rings in the claimed pool for the Phoenix player. He passes before his second conflict, and Neat Master straightens, as they're wont to do. So it's Phoenix's attack, right? 1-1. Yeah, it's Phoenix's attack. So I kind of think that this Visionary is going to go in on water. He doesn't have any more fate, so he can't play my Ancestor's Strength. But we could see something like a Storm here. If this Neat Master wants to straighten, like if this Neat Master defends, then he will need to play another weapon in order to straighten again. So 6-0 on water because of Shameful Display. Does Dragon have another weapon? Could do. I mean, it's kind of what the deck does. I think there are 6 weapons in total. 3 Katanas, 3 Pathfinder's Blades, and that's it in the deck. So far we've seen 2 out of 6. Attacking in on fire here. The Phoenix player doesn't really have any defenders. This Azunami is not going to be as useful this turn as it could have been, but in the grand scheme of things, probably not a big deal. All right, so 1 province apiece by the end of all of the conflicts on turn 1. 2 rings aside, so nobody's going to grab the favor. The air ring is the only one that's going to have fate on it by the time we get to turn 2. Does the Ancestral Shrine get used? No. No, that's kind of interesting actually, because it used to be that there was an action window in here before, when the regroup phase and the fate phase are the same thing. So I guess that's a bit of a soft nerf to the Ancestral Shrine there. Oh well. Okay, so Dragon sees an Investigator. Phoenix already has the answer to Investigator in his discard pile, which is Trick of the Light, so that's definitely helpful. The Phoenix player opts to get out a Solemn Scholar. Dragon passes. I think Phoenix is going to pass. Oh, never mind. I thought Phoenix was going to pass because usually they require quite a bit of fate. But I suppose the difference between 5 and 4 is not really all that much. I think what Phoenix is looking or hoping for is that the Dragon player hits his Retire to the Brotherhood, because he's got 4 no fate characters. Dragon, of course, doesn't have any no fate characters, so it's not going to hurt him, but Phoenix could high roll into something quite interesting. You know what? I hope that Dragon hits Retire to the Brotherhood as well, because I want to see what's going to happen. Both players bidding 5 again, and the first conflict is going to be from the Dragon player. The Dreamer is going to go on Earth, hoping to win the Earth Ring and activate a Solemn Scholar, which is definitely possible because is there a Fishicho? No, but there's a Heiko, so for +5 political, or a fire elemental guard for +4 military in the bin. Heiko chooses not to attack. Heiko looks like trying to slow the game down, so he's not going for super fast breaks at every opportunity. He's going to go for a solid break every turn and delay the game by having a strong defense on the same turn. So Phoenix now, the Azunami's super strong against these kinds of really big characters, but the dragon player has a Finger of Jade, and if I'm not mistaken, yes, Azunami's ability is a replacement effect. So actually, Finger of Jade would prevent the person being targeted by her ability to be the effect to be cancelled by Finger of Jade. There are 3 in the dragon deck, so the odds are pretty good that he's got 1. So Phoenix is going to have to decide really carefully how to sequence this. All of Phoenix's board is going away this turn, and Forfate's not a whole lot to be taking into next turn. He's going to need to use a bunch of this when the dragon player does decide to attack. The dragon player almost certainly going to defend this. And I feel like a military conflict is the right one because you don't want to give this Kitsuki Investigator the first activation in your conflict. It'd be super unfortunate if this was a rally, which it's not going to be because the dragon player doesn't run a rally. So Pilgrimage is a very strong, strong province. He's going to defend it with the Neaton Master. All he really needs to do is not let this thing break, because then Azunami's ability actually can't go off because she doesn't resolve the water effect. We could see a favorable round for the Phoenix to back out of this conflict if they think it's no longer worth it. With only 8 cards in hand, you know, every card in his hand, in the Phoenix player's hand, is an option that he wants to, get some value out of. If the amount of investment is, if it's going to take a whole bunch of cards to win this conflict and break the province, then it might just not be worth the investment. There is an Echoes in the bin, but the Phoenix player discards Clarity of Purpose. Is he going to play the Echoes? I don't think he does, but I'm wrong. He's going to go for an Inferno Guard Invoker, which is going to honor itself, taking the total up to, 8 plus 4 is 12. Putting the pressure back onto the dragon player. So from 12, something nice like a Supernatural Storm would get Phoenix over the top of Dragon. Dragon have still got their box, so they're kind of at least a minimum of 11 right now. So I think Dragon just passes and waits for Phoenix to play another card. This is technically a 2 because you had to discard a card to play for Acute Nasawa. Dragon having a bit of a think. I think if I were Dragon, I would pass this right here because nothing bad would happen right now, really. The Inferno Guard Invoker would stick around for a bit. Finger of Jade. So this could signal that Dragon is preparing for the Phoenix to break the province. Phoenix plays hand-to-hand on the Finger of Jade. Hand-to-hand turns out to be quite a lot of value if your own deck doesn't have any attachments in it. Because you'll notice that the hand-to-hand goes off, and uh, there's no way that the dragon player can use it against you. It takes off Seal of the Dragon, which will disarm any Void Fist that the dragon player might be having. So it's 1 card to 3 cards invested. Phoenix down on 5 cards in his hand. There's a Storm for 5. So now we're up over by 8. So even with a +2, the dragon player is going to need to invest another card into this conflict if he wants to keep the pilgrimage. Again, though, Finger of Jade is going to prevent this guy from being targeted by anything. So I think the Azunami effect is going to bow this investigator, and let me choose. Okay, I love this. Inferno Guard Invoker returns to the bottom of the Doomstick deck due to the delayed effect of Forbearer's Echo. So he doesn't actually get burnt to a crisp by using his own ability. Okay, question is, does the dragon player have? No, dragon has passed their conflict. Wait. So both players passed. Dragon passes their conflict opportunity. He plays a Fine Katana to straighten him to defend again. Why not attack? I suppose he's your only defender. Excuse me. All right. So turn this streamer, even though this has got +2 on Earth, looks like he's thinking about taking the air ring. There we go. So he's committed 1 to the air ring on political. But I think really the only thing that Phoenix might have is to my ancestor strength to get this 5 strength out of Heiko, but I don't think it's worth it. So he's really just poking in there for a fate. The Visionary could pop off something like this Finger of Jade, which would require that the dragon player play it again, which is exactly what he does. I'm not sure if that's actually worth it because, yeah, it's going to cost him another fate, but he could now move it over to the investigator so that the investigator can't be tricked by the light. So Phoenix is halfway there. They're at the halfway point. The next turn is going to reveal some pretty good, but not the best characters for Dragon. So I think Dragon here buys Yukuni. Yeah, I think Dragon here buys Yukuni for flexibility. Phoenix doesn't have any Seasons of War left. We saw those all on turn 1, unfortunately. So Phoenix is just going to buy low-cost guys. Again, looks like he's not putting fate on them, so he's kind of hoping that the Dragon is going to face check, retire to the Brotherhood, which will definitely break except for this investigator on military with anything that attacks it. Although, actually, you know what? It doesn't even need to break. It just needs to get hit, doesn't it? Dragonflayer Passing Force. Both players getting 5 more cards in hand. Gotta love it. And an extra card for Phoenix player because of Imperial Storehouse. So Phoenix going first. I think they're probably going to look to attack Earth right here. It's got a nice juicy fate on it. Phoenix has 8 fate in the bank. There are 2 Trick of the Lights in the Phoenix player's deck, I think. Yes, 2 Trick of the Light. So I think there's still no more Fashichos in the discard pile here. Heiko is still very good in terms of like my ancestor strength targeting. I guess depending on You can't attack political again because the investigator can just activate. Void is still not necessarily overly good. You could void, if you are going to play to win the conflict, you could void this Neeson Master, and then if he gets reprieved, the Inspired Visionary can deal with the reprieve like we were talking about earlier. Alternatively, yeah, you attack Earth so that you can use the Solemn Scholar's ability on somebody that attacks you, but also remember you put a Finger of Jade back into your opponent's hand, so now that Finger of Jade can come down on Yukuni or the Investigator or the Newton Master again. Any of those would be completely reasonable choices. Am I missing something here? Oh, okay, so Phoenix passed their first opportunity. So the Investigator is coming in on Earth on upholding authority. I think you don't do anything and then you pass here because display of power can't really be cancelled. The investigator can use its ability until it gets tricked of delighted. Wait for it. Wait for it. There it is. Trick of the light on the investigator. So that can't happen now. So I think now display of power on the Ring of Earth. Darn. Oh, actually, what can we do? There could be another hand-to-hand. No, it's a political conflict. Never mind. So the investigator is going to break upholding authority at this point. The display of power looks like it's only going to get the Solemn Scholar's ability activated. Pathfinder's Blade making a comeback. Again, the number of cards invested by the Phoenix player is actually increased by 1 because you do need to discard a card to use the strongholds. Okay, so Phoenix just passing through, playing a display of power maybe. Yep. So I think having the Solemn Scholar on would really incentivize the Dragon player to defend this next attack if there is one from Phoenix. And you know what? I'm not sure that there is one for Phoenix. You know what we haven't seen? We haven't seen Walking the Way. Walking the Way would be super handy to shuffle this Dynasty deck and put some birds somewhere else, you know, maybe into the row again. Dragon's looking like they want to make a really strong attack. Did I miss Yukuni doing his ability? No, I don't think so. Phoenix having a bit of a think. This bird deck's surprisingly intensive on the old cognitive load. You can see that this player is 10 minutes ahead of the Dragon player in terms of decision making, and at least part of that is decision making, but part of that is also just the mechanical way that this deck plays. You got to click like Q Nasawa, then you got to open your discard, and you got to click this, and then you got to click targets, and so on and so forth. All of that takes time. Phoenix going for Ring of Void into Restoration of Balance. Restoration of Balance would be pretty terrible right now. But if the Dragon defends, has he committed on the defense? He has committed on the defense. definitely fine to defend here. I kind of feel like it would have been nice to force the break. I don't think that there's any way with three against the waves in the bin. Oh, actually, you know what? The Solemn Scholar is on, so the Solemn Scholar could have bowed the uh, Ethereal Dreamer to not break Resto. But you know what? I think, yeah, I would have tried to maybe force a break on the Restoration of Balance, and then that might have forced the Phoenix player to use the Solemn Scholar on the Dreamer. Phoenix uses Forbearer's Echoes to. I think this is to try and win the conflict. Uh, I really just, I really don't know that playing what 5 cards into this conflict is going to be the best for the Phoenix player, because Dragon, with their huge card advantage and huge board advantage at that point, can just go nuts. So the Dragon is going to hit the Neaton Master with a +2, so still really strongly defending this province. The Inferno Guard Invoker and the Mere Mystic are going to get hit. Well, actually, the Inferno Guard Invoker is going to get hit with a Banzai, taking it up to 9. And this is 11 plus 1 is 12. Oh, and the favor is 13. Okay, so winning, but still not quite breaking. In comes Yukuni. So I think the Dragon, the Fridge team is decided that actually granting a break on Restoration of Balance would not be great, even though we know Sacred Sanctuary is on the Dragon box, which the Phoenix player really has to think very hard about attacking into, because the Seal of the Dragon on Yukuni is going to make him a beast. But maybe the Dragon deck probably isn't there yet in terms of breaks on the Phoenix player. It's probably not ready to reveal this province just yet. So fair calls. So Phoenix keeping the favor, keeping it away from the Dragon player, even though the Dragon player doesn't really mind. There are 2 Censures in the Phoenix player deck, so they're going to be really handy for some of the events that are going to come out of Dragon, Void Fists and Hurricane Punches and such. No characters on the board left for the Phoenix player. Although he is going to have a good chunk of fate coming into the next turn. It would be unfortunate if this was all holdings and 1 costs, such as it is. 1 costers aren't too bad, because you can play things like My Ancestor's Strength to beef them up. The problem is that you don't have any Fushichos in your bin to make those My Ancestor's Strength really big. Typically, Phoenix will play My Ancestor's Strength on political conflicts, so here you have a Heiko, which is kind of good. Military-wise, you use things like Forebearer's Echoes to bring out your big, chunky military guys, but in this case, there are no more fire invoker guards. Really, you've only got these elemental guards, and maybe this as an army as far as military strength goes. On the Dragon side, Tranquil Philosopher is quite good with three fate. It does seem to be the way that. Have we got a Shigenja? I think he might want to buy this Doom Shigenja or the Swordsmith, so that he's. Oh no, hang on. Yukuni's a Shigenja, so maybe Dragon just passes. Yeah, he does. I think I'm not quite up to the current state of the way the game's at. So 3 characters and a card for the Phoenix player, 1 dude and a pass for the Dragon player. Dragon is first, so Dragon's going to look to break here. I think you've already got a really good amount of value out of the Neaton Master, but it would be nice to squeeze just a little bit more out with some extra conflicts this turn. With 16 cards in hand, you've got to imagine there's at least a couple of weapons for the Neaton Master to get use out of his ability again this turn. I think the Investigator is actually going to get used right now. So I think the first attack might be political. Wait, what? Oh, is that a walking the way? Nice. Okay, so there had to be there had to be some Fashichos. In these 9 cards, 3 of them are Fashichos. So that's kind of nice. It would be kind of terrible if the Phoenix player was forced to play Walking the Way to get the Fashicho into the discard pile, because right now it's still not doing anything while it's on the row. Dragon has got to be happy with that. All right, so we basically have 2 investigators here. Yukuni is going to attack Political Fire into the Forbidden City, which is going to get rid of this Hawk Tattoo, but really nothing else. Don't know why you didn't go with 2 investigators. Probably you don't want to put all that much fate out there. I think Yukuni is going to put a fate maybe on this air ring to activate his ability. It could be that Phoenix has the other Trick of the Light, but Trick of the Light actually might not work. No, it's not going to work. So this Yukuni actually copied the Investigator's ability, so it's not printed on the card. So even if Phoenix does have a Trick of the Light to turn off the Yukuni, Yukuni's still going to get that ability off. So I think here, so this one on the leftmost side is retired to the Brotherhood. And if Phoenix defends here, he's almost certainly going to need to use a My Ancestor's Strength on Heiko in order to copy that big 5 political skill. He does have plenty of fate in order to do that. All right, so Wu-Tang Commander plays Cloak of Night on the Fire Tensei Initiate. It's a political conflict, so I'm going to guess that there's a court games coming up somewhere for the Phoenix player. So Yukuni's Investigator ability goes off. What do we see in Phoenix's hand? Oh, he gets rid of the court games. Probably his only court games? Yes. So it means that he's not going to get that big honor token off of that. But he could use this Benson's Touch to do basically the same thing. Although it's a better choice to pick the court games because Benson's is going to require one of these 2 characters to bow. So here we see Benson's getting used to honor the Tensei Initiate, bringing it up to 5, which equals Yukuni. So now Forbidden City is not breaking. I was about to say the Dragon could play court games. Big brain plays, right? So still not quite enough to break, but another attachment and a stronghold could solve the problem of breaking this for the Dragon player. Dragon just winning on all the metrics right now. More cards, more honor, equal fates, same breaks, better board position. So Wu-Tang Commander plays Clarity Purpose on Fire Tensei Initiate, so he gets to use this character again later in the turn. A fan coming onto Yukuni, still not breaking, but definitely winning this fire ring. But a Mountain's Anvil Castle will take this up to 9, which still won't be breaking. Plus, this Forbidden City could get rid of this fan if the need arises. I think Wu-Tang Commander might just pass for a little bit, wait for the Dragon player to invest a little bit more of this advantage into this conflict if he wants to. I'm sure that he does because this would put his next conflict on Phoenix's box, and these 3 characters would be quite a good attack. So Mountains Over Castle so there was another fan here, but Into Forbidden City got rid of that. Mountain's Anvil Castle was used, and now Seal of the Dragon comes on to make this guy Mushi Shigenja champion monk, which is going to be breaking strength. So Phoenix now really has to use something like my ancestor's strength. So he might be forced to use the box here to get that all-important +5. I think if he can block this attack, he just doesn't die this turn. And right now, not dying this turn would seem like the right way to play it. Phoenix down to 13 minutes on the clock. One thing about these team games is that when you've got a bunch of players over your shoulder and you're asking for advice, sometimes this decision making can get quite delayed. Not the worst that I've seen in this game. Clearly, the Phoenix player is comfortable making some decisions, but at points, both teams must be talking about things with their teammates. That's another thing that maybe people don't take into account so much is that when you're ahead, right? So when you've put the cognitive load onto your opponent, you are kind of buying yourself more thinking time because the more time they spend thinking about whatever situation you've boxed them into and how they're going to get out of it, gives you time to think about how you're going to stop them from doing that. So if you can, definitely get a bit faster in your decision making, put the pressure on your opponent, and it'll actually pay dividends. So we see a Supernatural Storm coming out of the box from the Phoenix player, which is only a +3. Which is a little bit surprising since you could have got a +5 out of this guy right here, Ancestor's Strength. Yep, could have got a +5. All right, so both players end up passing. The province stays, so the Phoenix player is going to live for another turn. The Keeper Initiate and or the Inspired Visionary are going to need to fight their way through these three dudes. Probably on a military conflict, because once again, you really don't want this investigator going off, especially on defense. If the investigator goes off on defense, then the fate that gets put onto the rings, he can just go and pick that up again. So the investigator could put it on water, then then the next attack, one of these other guys comes and attacks on water, and it really didn't cost him anything to use that ability. I love the amount of spectators these games have as well. Okay, so military air into restoration of balance. It's not too bad if he plays one or two cards here, which, let's face it, he's going to need to in order to win this conflict. And I think that if he can break here, he's going to be the Phoenix player is going to be first playing next turn, which is going to put him on box. Unfortunately, the box is going to, he's going to get a defense. The dragon player is going to defend his box with Yukuni, who is going to be a monk. So the secluded shrine ability is going to sort of kick in on this thing. It's really going to take the wind out of Phoenix's sails if that happens. So I think we've seen 2 Supernatural Storms. No, just 1. So Neaton Master defending here with 9. Good use of Neaton Master. Is policy debate in the Dragon deck? No. What was Dragon's restricted card again? Does he not have one? Oh, Pathfinder's Blade. Never mind. So Pathfinder to ready Neaton Master. What happened? Oh, the Solemn Scholar? No. What happened to Neaton Master? Did the conflict just finish? Yeah, okay. So the conflict was won by Dragon, and then he pops on a Pathfinder's Blade to ready the Neaton Master. So who's going to come in? Oh dear. Oh dear. I think that dragon might have assumed that Retired to the Brotherhood was on the box. Definitely could have been the case. So now Neat Master's going away. There's the defender step hasn't actually happened yet, so all of these. Oh no, he pathfinders. My God, read the text box, man. RTFT. So Ring of Earth picks out a censure. Not great, but not bad, right? Phoenix is in quite a bit of trouble here. That censure could have been really handy. Oh dear, oh dear. So Cloud the Mind hits the Inspired Visionary, and I think we're about to see a reprieve on Neaton Master. There it is. So Dragon is wise to the ways of the Visionary. Okay, so basically, I don't actually think that any of these characters that the Dragon players purchased have left play this game. Dragon player is not first player next turn, but it doesn't really matter because anything that Phoenix attacks with is going to hit Sacred Sanctuary, which is going to be easily defended by Togashi Yukuni, I should imagine. Yeah, this Fushicho that was on that province really didn't do anything. The I'm just trying to think about what the sequence is here. Does Phoenix attack first? If Phoenix attacks first, it feels like, unless there's like a ready or something, I think he's straight up maybe just, no, I don't, you can't straight up buy Fushicho because then you can't, they don't go away at the end of conflicts and things like that, like you want them to with Forbearer's Echoes. Well, we're well past that stage anyway. Can you imagine being this Fire Tensei initiate, this 0-0 scholar, right? You're in your library reading your scrolls and things, and all of a sudden, charging down your front door comes, all of these dragons. The Dragon Clan champion, Kitsuki Investigator, Neaton Master. Dear. So I think that this must be Frostbitten Crossing on the stronghold for the Phoenix player. Honestly, 9 cards in hand, all of the straighten are already in the bin. Yeah, already in the bin. I don't honestly think that Phoenix can attack here, but he's going to. he's Oh, actually, there's a Tadaka. He could have a Tadaka in hand. So you attack with the Fire Tensei Initiate to activate the box, which, by the way, it doesn't automatically happen on reveal. I think Sacred Sanctuary is like an on attack province. So he could attack here, and then you get like this token defense, and like, you know, you're still most likely going to bounce off the Sacred Sanctuary. If things get hairy, do you run away with your favorable ground? Oh, I didn't even think about that. He didn't actually break Resto last turn. That's right. The air conflict was defended by the Neon Master. So there's, I hate to call games early, but, it is not looking good. Not looking good at all. So Fire Tensei Initiate comes in here. Fushicho is going to bring out K-Day? Maybe the Prodigy, because you really do need as many conflicts as you possibly can. Although if you were going to bring out Prodigy, I don't know why you don't attack with water straight away. I think it's K-Day. Phoenix drawing an extra card, which is going to be ideally uh, something relevant. So it's 6 versus 4. So the Dragon player is preparing for um, this conflict to be 1. It's only winning by 2 right now, so not breaking. So he's attaching all of this stuff. There's still a reprieve in his hand that he could attach. Phoenix is trying to decide. Um, I mean, you really need to break here as Phoenix. You only need 1 skill, but you do really need to break. Your opponent's played 2 cards in the conflict, but actually, these cards that have been played aren't necessarily investments in the conflict. They're just mitigations to the Ring of Earth effect. It's locked up. I think that means that Jigoku is not responding. Maybe he's talking about his brain. His brain's locked up. 6 minutes for the Phoenix player. Not good. Well, at least his power hasn't gone out. One of the previous Australian games, the guy playing it was apparently playing in a shack in the woods somewhere, and the power went out. we we think a man is disconnected. I think that's a refresh button. I think he's hit the refresh button. I wonder at what point Jigoku just dies from overuse. There's 13 players in this game. I can't imagine that this thing was designed for quite the intensive use that it's getting. If anybody can support the Jigoku team, to make it a little bit easier to fund that operation, might be a good idea. If they're supporting our hobby, their hobby too, to be fair. The game's locked up. So he's back in, but it's just not letting him do anything, I guess. Dragon is being a good sport, and I guess they're letting it go over time. If Phoenix wants to, if Phoenix just kind of runs out of time. Well, I kind of think the options here, let's be honest, right? Anybody looking at a game state like this has to really give it to the Dragon player. I would imagine that the Australian player is going to be a sport and will just, concede victory at this point if he can't continue to play the game. If they force a remake, I don't know. Doesn't say, um, doesn't seem like that would be the most sportsmanly thing to do. All right, let's see. Well, everyone, does anybody have a fun game we can play while we wait? I'm out of ideas. Uh-oh. Uh, okay. So I think that Phoenix just clicked the leave game button, which I think would have sent the instruction to Jigoku that he actually kind of wants to resign the game rather than just, exit the current instance. And now he's back in as a spectator. So Now the Dragons playing against a faceless deck with no cards in hand, no fate, and no order. So I'm guessing that means the faceless deck loses because it's at zero order, right? Yeah. That's it, Nuggets. Does anybody play World of Warcraft? For April Fool's Day, the World of Warcraft developers released patch notes that were, you know, they had all sorts of crazy things in them. Like mages had a skill called Time Warp, I think it was, and the patch note said Time Warp will now reduce the amount of game time left on your opponent's account by 30 days and stuff like that. Well, I think I think that's it. Uh, all of the Australian players are leaving the game. Uh, yeah, it does kind of feel bad, right? Feels a little bit icky when, things go wrong, but you're like, well, we need a resolution to this match, right? Yeah, I agree. Honorable concession is absolutely the right thing to do here. I have no idea what cards were in the Phoenix player's hand, but I have no doubt that it was going to be handled masterfully by the Dragon. Let's have a Discord chat about it. Well, I hope Phoenix has got like a screen cap of his hand or something to back up, um, what the lines of play were. All right. Well, I guess we'll just kind of call it there. Nothing else is going to happen on stream for this game. There is another game in a couple of hours, 1 hour actually, which is going to be Australia and France's final game for this round. But if we assume Phoenix does not win this game, I think it will put France at four, which means I think they take the rounds no matter what. And yeah, but I mean, you would hope that the next match actually does get played, but regardless of the outcome, I think that France are going to take it. So I guess I'll hold off on saying whether or not France takes the game or not. But either way, thanks to the players for playing a very exciting match. Uh, if you guys want to be back in an hour, I'll see you back here in about an hour. And yeah, thanks to you guys, thanks to the players, thanks to the organizers. We'll see you all in a bit.